It's Friday night, everybody. You know what that means. It's Friday night. Let's have some fun. Let's get together and play a ton.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm John.
And we're Friday Night Games.
Friday Night Games.
We want to immerse you into our love of the hobby by educating and entertaining you through our board game adventures. Our podcast lands every Friday, and we create content for Instagram, Twitter, and YouTubes.
Our episode today is sponsored by the awesome Tabletop Renaissance.ca, who recently launched their web store. So head over to tabletop-renaissance.ca for all your board game tabletop miniature needs.
What's on today's topic, John?
Oh, man. So good. So good. Today we are going to talk about a new game that's coming out pretty soon called Brew by Pandasaurus Games, and I'm pretty jazzed about it.
I think this is more of like a tribute to Pandasaurus, because we're going to talk about some titles too, and we're even going to go over, we're going to have a list of our favorite games.
I wonder if they're going to be the same.
They probably will. Like 200%. We both probably have the game.
We'll get into
it
later.
One of the games will be on there for sure.
All right. So I think, in my opinion, I don't know what you're thinking here, Matt, but I think Pandasaurus has had a pretty solid year this year. They have multiple releases of games, and their release lineup for the remainder of the year is looking pretty good. So I think it's a good year to be a Pandasaurus Games fan.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for a lot of the games that they're bringing out. If you don't know about Pandasaurus, they usually take on they do have their own products like Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur World, etc., but they do take on other projects that are hard to release in North America from other countries. So for instance, Machikoro is originally a Japanese game, and they brought that into the board game market in North America, and they're kind of doing that a bunch of times this year too, which is really exciting. And we played a couple of the games from their lineup, and they're actually really good, so I'm excited for the games that are from the other markets coming in on top of what they have already released or are going to release actually next week.
Yeah. So this year so far they've released or are set to release the following games. So obviously there's Umbervia, which I know you and I love that game.
Yeah, and definitely check out we have a podcast on it where we had the creator Connor J. Wake, because Connor Wake was taken, so we call him Connor J. Wake. He was on it, and he did a great job of just entertaining us with lots of information about the game. We had a playthrough with him too via Twitch, which we don't do Twitch anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. We don't do that. We kind of just stopped. It was a lot of work, and we have some very loyal fans. You know who you are. We love you. Thank you for being there. But we weren't getting out of it what we needed to get out of it.
Yes.
But anyway, so Umbervia is awesome and is such a good bidding game, a simple bidding game. You basically draw 3 flowers. You have a hidden area. You place the flowers, and then you try to bid on tiles. And then if you complete a closed-off path, you get points per tile completed if you have the most of your flowers on there, and then that lets you try and be the first person out. First person who to remove all the soul flowers off their own tile wins the game. It's pretty simple. It's awesome. You definitely should check it out.
Yeah. And then we also have the game Face to Face, which is a 2-player version of the game. Honestly, I think this is my favorite of the game.
Spoiler alert.
I just like playing my own game with someone else. I don't know. There's something about just the helping your opponent's pile to try to get rid of your own cards while trying to just like throw all your cards down. I don't know. It was really cool to play, and I really enjoyed playing with you. I played it with my wife, and she really enjoyed it as well. And I liked that. I like the game that we played where you were like holding cards back, so I couldn't play on your pile.
Yeah,
it just destroyed me.
Yeah, I don't know even know where that came from. I just thought about it in the middle of the game. Sometimes crazy ideas like that come. But I really like the tension in that game. The tension between us playing it was really good. It's not really like a talking game though. It's a game where you're going to be focused on the game itself.
Right. You know, we did a podcast on that as well. We did a video on it on our YouTube channel. So if you want, go check those out.
Especially that video. That video is hilarious. So definitely check that out.
They have, obviously, they've got Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island Roarenright, which had a successful Kickstarter campaign, and that generated over $1 million. I'm excited. I'm excited for those.
I mean, I like Dinosaur Island. You played that with me. I'm sure you like it too. And the main difference is that it's similar game. It's very similar, but it's more of like collecting workers. Workers they like help you make dinosaurs basically, and then at the end of it, you're driving a Jeep around the park to make money, as opposed to Dinosaur Island where you're making money on visitors.
I have a Jeep. Can I just drive around and make money?
Yeah. Do you have an island full of dinosaurs?
No.
No. Well, then you can't. And then Dinosaur Island Roar and Write, I was lucky enough to play a tabletop simulator version with Michael from Athex Tube, so you could definitely check that out on his channel. We had a fun time. I can tell you it's a funny game. The thing I love about the Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island games is that they have a lot of humor in them. Like within like there's this little like, oh, here's a ride, and it has like a dinosaur pun, and then they have like, here's Roar and Write, and it was funny, like one of the things is like you can exit through a hole in the wall. So the whole idea is you're bringing a tour group around your complex that you're making in the Roar and Write, and like there's like a hole in the wall you can exit, and it's like the most points because you're creating the most excitement. And I'm like, this game is so funny. It's so full of amazing moments that the Roll and Write or Roar and Write is going to be amazing. So definitely, if you back that, if you haven't, you should definitely watch a playthrough. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm excited because you backed Dinosaur World and I backed Roar and Write. In hindsight, we probably should have just went together and backed the bundle. Probably would have been cheaper, but whatever.
Whatever, man. We like having our own things. We're adults.
That's true. That's true. And then they've got a game called Wild Space coming out.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Ooh, that is a boot. Actually, I don't know a ton about it. I know it's a card game. I know that you're collecting cards to make a crew, and you're going around the galaxy taking on missions for money. That's the premise. I'm assuming the most money wins. That's all I know about it. I know it's actually a 2020 game that they picked up, so it isn't originally from North America. It's from somewhere else, and apparently it's really good. So I'm looking forward to that too.
And then they got another game coming out called The Loop.
Yes, this one it's a 2020 game, but you couldn't play it unless you were a reviewer on very specific websites. I'm a little jealous, I'll admit, because I like games with brand new or fresh mechanics, and this is one of them. It's a co-op game, and there's like a time travel mechanic. I don't know exactly how it works. You could just YouTube it, and you'll find a bunch of reviews or playthroughs, and they will show you the mechanics of it. But yeah, it has a time travel mechanic. It's super cool. It's co-op, which I love co-op games, especially if they're a little bit complex. So I'm looking forward to that one.
I think there's a solo version or a solo mode as well.
There is a solo mode, which is why it's even more appealing to me. But I mean, it has a solo mode. It's co-op. It's it's a game. It's a game that everyone had as a unique game from last year. So that's obviously, I'm a hipster, so I need to have it. That's kind of how that works.
And then then the game. Oh, let me hit puberty here while we're at it. And then the game that we're going to mostly talk about today, which is Brew. But before we get into it, I just wanted to make mention that, we've been really grateful for Pandasaurus Games. They've sent us a few games this year. So we really wanted to say thank you for supporting Friday Night Games channel and platforms. We really appreciate it. So Brew is a new game that is designed by Steve Torres and art by Jake Morrison and Andrew Thompson. It's just a fun game. Basically, time and the seasons kind of don't make sense, and they kind of all exist at once. And in this game, you play as like a mystic of the forest, and basically what you're trying to do is bring back balance by using our magic. So, you're brewing potions, you're trying to tame creatures, and what's really cool is you have these dice that you have to roll. So it's kind of like a worker placement, dice placement, area control game. Gain points by controlling the forest spaces. And then you tame animals, which kind of give you some player power, which ends up being like a cool engine builder. And you get points for brewing your potions, which gives you some powers by brewing potions, which adds to that engine building part of the game. And I think it's really cool. It really balances out really well. And I had a ton of fun with it. And I'll get into what I felt about it more specifically later. Basically, it's most points wins at the end of the game. And the game's played over 4 rounds. And I had a ton of fun. And the art's beautiful. It reminds me of Pokemon meets Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed when I saw the game that intrigued me. And with board games, art always pulls you in. It's colorful, it's bright, it's beautiful, and if you're listening to this, you probably saw the pictures I posted all week leading up to this. It's such like a gorgeous looking game. But just as a little note too, Pandasaurus actually they fixed their shipping for Canada, so now you can get the game in Canada without having to pay $2,000 for shipping. Just make sure you also grab that mini expansion. The mini expansion was something they toted on social media where people were actually naming the 4 characters in the mini expansion, which is really cool because we have a lot of Canadian people, and together we all try to put funny names towards things.
Yeah, that mini expansion is available if you're able to pre-order that game. So I think the game comes out next week. So if you can get on that pre-order, do it up. Actually,
Yes.
I think it's going to be a little bit later for international. I think it's going to be called in July.
Here's a quick take. We really like the game. Okay.
Yeah. The end. See you later.
All right. We're done. Next
All right.
topic.
So Matt, what did you like about the game? Have you had a chance to play the actual game, or have you just played it on like Tabletopia?
I only had a chance to play it on Tabletopia with the group, but it was really fun because I had a really fun time teaching it. So let me just backtrack just a quick second here. So the art is one of the things that really caught my attention originally, and I'm like, ooh, it's colorful, it looks beautiful. I'm like, I wonder how it plays, and I'm like, what does Brew have anything to do with this creative world? And I kind of hit it on the head right away. I'm like, it must be potions, and I was right.
Mm-hmm.
So after we get past the art, let's just make note that this game is a medium game. It's not light, and it isn't for all groups of people. So we actually started playing it with 2 groups of people. One was our typical gaming group, which consisted of me, Mustache Matt, Grabka, and our editor Kevin. And then John was split off into another group, which consisted of him, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my stepsister-in-law. So one group really liked it, and the other group didn't. So my group really liked it, and a lot of the reasons why they liked it was because there's a lot of strategy to it. There's a couple ways to win. So it's a dice drafting game. You're going to roll dice, and you're going to place your dice in different areas to do different things. So you're either going to try to control forests for points, you're going to try to place your dice to collect resources to brew potions for points, unless you drink them and do special abilities, or you're going to use your dice to draft creatures. So the main 3 points are potions, the forests, which are area control, and then the creatures. And then those 3 work together. So you're either working with the forests to brew potions, or you're working with the forests to release creatures and get extra points. And that's kind of where the strategy comes in. You're like, man, which way do I go? And then you kind of have to look at everyone you're playing against and be like, oh, what are their player abilities? Because that's actually really important. And then what are they doing? I should probably do something different so that I can try and get as much points as possible.
Nice. So we actually didn't play with the player abilities, so I'm interested in hearing how that went for you.
You didn't play either game with the player abilities?
No? Well, because in the rule book, it recommends not to do it. So for your first game.
Okay.
So I didn't do it with my wife on the first game, and then I was teaching the game to the other group, and I was like, it's probably just easier if we don't do the player powers this time.
Yeah, on a funny note, I didn't play the game before I taught it, and they honestly thought I played the game like several times. They're like, well, some of us didn't play the game, Matt. And I'm like, I actually was like, I just want to tell you guys, I didn't play the game either. And they were just like blown away. They're like, what? Like, how do you know all the rules? It's like, well, maybe because I learned the rules every week for the last for the last 5 years. I got to be good at it, right? But they really liked the strategy of it, and I think the one key that really stuck out to all of us was the elemental dice, which I'll let you get into. So you explain the elemental dice, and I'll tell you what they really liked about it.
Before I get into what I like about it, there are 6 dice that each player rolls, and one set of dice is an element dice. And basically there's fire, water, and wind. And they all give you kind of special abilities that you can use. So the water, as long as you play it into a forest space, allows you to get +2 whatever resource that you put it on. The fire allows you to place on top of one of the forage dice that has been played. So what's cool about that die is if you really want to screw with someone's control of the board, you cover their dice with the fire die and they lose that spot. And then the wind, which is probably, I don't know if it's the most powerful element dice, but the wind one allows you to remove one of your forage dice that you've placed, put it on there, and then you get kind of an extra roll. It does come at a cost because then you lose control of your forest, but I mean, if you know you're going to take control of that forest, you can do it anyway, and then you get another roll of your forage dice.
So in our game, using those three things was the most powerful thing we did. I believe it was Chris used it to mess over Mustache Matt. He like put it down and then and he's like, guess what? You don't control this forest. And then Matt's like, oh no, I didn't read that rule properly. And then me, I already controlled the forest. Like I had 4, there's like a smaller point forest, so there's only 4 spots for dice. But I actually had all 4 spots taken, and the wind dice actually allowed me to take an extra turn, which blew them away. And they were actually angry. They're like, that's when they were calling me a cheater, and they're like, oh, you just play this game a lot. I'm like, I've never played it. And they're like, oh man. So we thought the element dice really made the game fun, because it really added an extra element to the game for strategy, right? And then
pun intended.
Exactly. And it really like added that element of like, oh, do I use these dice first? You can use it in the town, and there's some pretty powerful things you could do with them in the town. Or do you wait to use them to kind of like screw over the person you're playing with? So I really like that element of the game. It was awesome.
Yeah, when I played, what I really liked about it is like how cutthroat the game was. Like I played with my wife, and we've talked about it many, many times. She does not like to lose games. So she was doing everything in her power to like make me lose control of my forest spaces.
Nah.
To the point where I should have wrote it down when we played, because like I don't know if anyone's seen the show Queen's Gambit, but she like Queen's Gambit my moves, and she saw that I was holding back element dice to screw her over at the end of like the end of my turn. So she strategically was able to like move some dice around, or she was able to do something that, or no, she put one of her forged dice on a spot that she knew I wanted, or she put an element dice, sorry, which allowed her to take another turn, and she put another dice where I wanted it, and it just screwed me over like hard. I was trying to get control of one of her forests, and in turn she kept control, and I lost control of one of my forests or something like that.
Ouch.
And I saw the weakness. And I knew when I played, whatever I played, I knew I screwed myself over, but it was too late. And the whole game was like that. Like we were just like so neck and neck with each other the entire time. And it was just, we had a ton of fun, and she really loved the game, and she hates learning new games. And I think like this is a game I think is going to be a big hit, and looking forward to playing it again. And what I really thought was cool was like how balanced like there's a lot going on in the game, right? So there's like worker placement, there's area control, there's engine building, and just like how everything worked together to really like beef up your turns was awesome. Like I liked when you're taming creatures, using their powers, if you gain control of a forest, you get these extra bonus points, and then the potions, which allowed you to do extra stuff. Like it was just all really cool.
Right. You could consume a potion to do extra moves, or you can keep all those potions in your hand to the end of the game. And that was my strategy. It didn't work. Mustache Matt's strategy was to gain companions, and they actually that was actually working a lot, because he was that specific engine building strategy, since every animal gives you a bonus for some sort of reason, that was actually helping him.
Yeah.
So maybe my strategy sucked. Maybe I need to drink my potions and just not worry about it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the potions are pretty powerful. I mean, if you can get them to kind of work together with everything else, it works out well. I remember using a potion in the game that we were playing on Friday over Tabletopia, and what did it allow? It allowed me to, I think it allowed me to like remove a dice, or like swap an element dice or something like that. It allowed me to do something, and I ended up just making your sister-in-law lose all her forests that she had. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I just think I like how everything works together, especially with the animals and the seasons. And what I really thought was neat was the animals have a certain season that they align with, but their powers don't necessarily match the season that they align with. So you have to really pick and choose which one you want to grab when you're taming an animal. Mm-hmm. So I really like that part of it as well.
Cool. So who's this game for?
You know what? I would suggest it to any gaming group. Maybe if you like heavier games, maybe it won't be for you. But I think like a general gaming group might get a really good kick out of it. I think people who like the game Everdell will like it.
Yes. I was I was thinking like this might be like the next. It would be it's very similar to Everdell, but it's not quite as complicated as Dinosaur Island.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a step down from that. It's a step up from like Ticket to Ride, and it could be comparable to like a deck builder like Dune, mainly because all the cards have readable text, so you got to be on top of all your abilities.
Yeah.
So for our group, it was a hit. I actually know my sister-in-law did not like it because all the cards had readable abilities.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for her, and I kind of knew that coming in. For anyone who's listening, what happened was someone in her group wanted to do a game night, and I'm like, well, we kind of actually have to play this. If you want to do that, then we'll teach it, and they all agreed to it. And I'm like, I think this is gonna be a disaster, but I just wanted, I went in there with an open mind, hoping that they would like it. My group did like it, so that's good.
At least they played.
Yes, they gave it a shot.
Yeah, and they don't normally play games with us anyway.
And probably never again after that.
I think just general gaming groups should at least try it out. I think there's something in there kind of for everybody.
I actually think it's a really good game.
Yeah.
And I think it's for like if someone's going to be like, "Hey Matt, what was one of the best games you played this year?" I'm actually going to say that. I'm actually going to say Brew.
Nice.
It's not crazy. It's just that I think, and this is not me plugging the price of the game, but it's cheap for what you get. Is really cheap.
Oh yeah.
The production value's through the roof. Like maybe the tokens aren't the nicest, like the resource tokens, but the dice are super nice. You get nice thick player cards. The main board is thick and nice. Like it's actually like a pretty amazing game for that price point. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's only I think $30 US.
I know. I actually expected this game to be like $60 easy.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. So with that price point, it's a no-brainer for people who want to get into like a medium game. As long as you don't mind reading. There's a lot of reading, as in there's a lot of like abilities. So as long as you don't mind that type of game, you'll like this game for sure.
All right, so if you are interested in getting Brew, you should be able to still pre-order it on the Pandasaurus website at pandasaurus.com. The pre-orders will all come with this mini expansion, which comes with 4 creature cards that give you some additional player power. And they are foil backed, so they're really pretty. There's a contest on social media to name them. And they've opened up the pre-orders to international buyers,
which
gives
is
you less shipping.
Super Canadian, amazing right there.
So yeah, and again, thank you to Pandasaurus for sending us a copy of Brew to play and feature on our channels. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, Matt and I have started kind of this little web series called Into the Shelfieverse, where we're going to go through a bunch of Pandasaurus games, and we're excited to see where it goes.
Well, we know where it goes, but
yes.
You should be excited to see where it goes.
just know Matt and I are Canadian, so that's where we get our humor from. So you gotta like Canadian humor.
Our terrible humor comes from Canada. So if you like Mike Myers or you like, I actually think our humor is very similar to like South Park and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. People may not even heard of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but that's like our humor.
Yeah, but Canadianized.
What does Canadianized mean? Explain this to me.
It's just like a dry humor.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a little. It can be bizarre too. I think we have like a bizarre-ish humor. It's kind of like a cross between British and like slapstick almost.
Right. So check it out. Our first video, it actually starts with the game face-to-face infomercial, ties into the first episode of Into the Shelfieverse, which is us getting sucked into the Umbravia game, and we're looking forward to heading into the land of Brew.
Right. And well, before we get into that, I just want everyone to know, just make sure you watch it and give us feedback. We're really receptive to making things better.
Right.
Okay.
Right. All right, Matt. So I tasked you with must be like 14 again.
Voice or what?
I tasked you right before we hit record to give me your top 5 Pandasaurus games.
Yeah, I wrote down I
want to hear this list.
Top 5 Pandasaurus games. So I'm
all right.
I'm ready for this. And you wrote down your top 5 too, correct?
I did, but I didn't put them in an order. But I can quickly do that.
Put them in an order.
Okay,
I'll set the timer. Oh, you're done. Okay.
Yeah.
Literally 1 second. Okay, here we go. Coming in at number 5. How about we learned this from our last time we did this? I will go first. You will go second. Sound good?
Okay.
My number 5 is Dinosaur Island.
Okay.
What is yours?
I will also go with Dinosaur Island.
Stop it.
Yes.
What do you mean you'll also go? Are you just repeating me?
I hope not.
Wow, this will tell us how like on track both of us are. Are we in sync or are we not in sync? We're gonna find out.
I think we're gonna have some different opinions on this.
No, I bet you're gonna have them all the same. Okay, so Dinosaur Island, I thought it's a medium weight game, so I can't necessarily be like it's for everybody. We played it with. I played it a bunch of times solo, and then I played it with the group, more than one person, a couple times, and I really like it. I really like it, but it's pretty complicated. So and it is like a table hog too. So it's hard for me to be like this is number one. But Pandasaurus and dinosaurs go together like ice cream and me at a ice cream event.
And wait, I want to interrupt you. I can't read. I wrote Dualosaur Island, not Dinosaur Island.
Oh, well, that's funny because I own Dinosaur Island and you own Dualosaur Island, so it makes sense that we like our own game. But honestly, those two games are very similar.
Right. Yeah, one's just Duelist Island is just a 2-player version, scaled down version of Dinosaur Island, and basically instead of all the dinosaur meeples, you just have cards, the DNA dice, and the DNA tracker, and you're building your park using cards instead of meeples, essentially. Right. But yeah, I just liked it because it was more streamlined, I think, and a quicker gameplay.
And then I would actually even rope in like Dinosaur World in there too whenever Dinosaur World comes out. So I think it's just like the Dinosaur Island series of games would be my number 5.
Yeah, the Dinoverse, like they like to call it.
Oh, is that what they call it? That's awesome.
Yes.
It's like our Shelfieverse.
There we go.
Maybe we subliminally stole that from them because I'm pretty sure they were saying that before we were saying ours. So.
Yeah, but there's a lot of verses.
True.
All right, what's coming in at your number 4?
Okay, how about you go first this time?
My number 4, I'm gonna throw in Godspeed.
Whoa, that's okay. Okay, my number 4 is Brew.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually really like Brew. When we played it, okay, so we played on Tabletopia. It was actually bad on Tabletopia. The game took 3 hours, but hands-on, I could see that this game would be a lot quicker.
Oh yeah, it only took I think me and my wife to play. I think maybe 40 minutes to an hour with learning.
Yeah, I could see it going an hour, maybe a half an hour per person. So if you go with 3 people, it's probably like an hour and a half. 4 people is probably an hour. That's how I see it. But yeah, it's just so good. It's just like it's such a high quality game, a great price point. Like I really like it. So I actually highly recommend it.
Yeah, and Godspeed. What I liked about that, the story is, space race was a lie. We landed on this like rock that had it was like alien technology on it, but Russia beat us there by a few months, and then all the world just started showing up really close after. It's a midway worker placement game where you're trying to colonize this rock that you've landed on. So you're trying to like gain resources and all that stuff. What I liked about it was I didn't know what to expect from it, and I think it kind of just was like it blew me away.
You had low expectations going in.
I wasn't expecting much, and I like the worker placement element of it. I like the auction and bidding, especially with the high council phase.
Yeah, Godspeed's a really interesting game because it has a bidding phase, it has a like council phase where it's similar to bidding. It has the council phase is like a teamwork phase, and you have like a bidding phase, and then you have like a drafting phase. It's just cool how that goes, and then you're trying to race to colonize your country's planet or area, I guess. I don't know. Right. It's super cool. Very good game.
Yeah. And I just enjoyed playing. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's missing single player though, but maybe they'll have an expansion with single player eventually.
Maybe.
Okay, coming in at number 3, I have Umbra Via.
Okay.
What do you got?
I have Brew as my number 3.
Whoa. Yeah, I guess they're very similar. So why did Brew come before Godspeed?
Like I said, I think Brew appeals to more people. I know I don't think I can bring Godspeed to the table, and my wife would like it. Brew, she really enjoyed. So I think that's why it edged out Godspeed.
That's pretty interesting because that's why I put Umbra Via where I put Umbra Via. I think it's more appealing than Brew and Dinosaur Island to a lot more people. I think I could break that out with my, earlier we said my sister-in-law didn't like Brew. I think that I could break out Umbra Via with her and she would love it.
Cool.
Because it's a simple game. Brew is more complex because every card has a rule.
Yeah, but it's easy to follow, I think.
Yeah, but also like your wife, like you and your wife play games with cards that have rules. You got to remember that, right? My sister-in-law
That's
does
true.
not. And that would be like your medium weight game. So it's hard to go from something like Monopoly to that, right? Where you're like, "Ooh, what is this? Ooh, I can't just fake the rules. I actually have to argue my rules." So that's kind of where that comes in. But Umbravia gets rid of that because Umbravia is just it's a area control, a
Nice.
very clever area control, but it's easy to understand. Okay,
Cool.
number 2. What do you have for number 2, John?
That's where I threw Umbravia.
So
For me.
our list is actually really similar.
I know.
We're not quite in lockstep, which makes sense because we're never really quite in lockstep, but we do
Yeah.
think very similarly. Okay, so your number 2 is Umbravia, probably for the same reasons that my Umbravia is number 3. My number
Yeah.
2 is the games, all of them.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I feel like the games is just again we're going that it's more appealing to even more people. So the games have a wide variety of games to appeal to all sorts of people. People want co-op, people want verse, people just want a fun activity, people want to laugh, and I think that that's just the amazing appeal to it. You know, I could break those games out to anybody and they're going to enjoy it. I could break them out to advanced gamers. They're good. Advanced gamers who might get bored of it, but they'll appreciate playing it between a game or over drinks or something, you know?
Right.
What about you?
Yeah, Umbravia, like you said, sorry, is it's a simple yet complex game. It's easy to learn, easy to play, and I think every time we've played it, it's been fun. So I think it's just one of those games. Connor J. Wake won like the Cardboard Edison Award for designing it back in 2019 or something like that, and like one of the judges was like, "This game's gonna be successful," and it is like it's a really good game. I wouldn't be surprised if I would be surprised if it didn't land on some sort of award thing next year for like any category.
Yeah.
Best podcast.
Best podcast. Yeah, I hope Connor wins best podcast. That would be amazing. I would vote for him. I really would.
So I assume it'll end up on one of the best games of 2021 lists somewhere.
I hope so.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, what's your number 1, John? Surprise me. Wait, hold on. Can I guess? No. You tell me. You just tell me.
I'm gonna go with Gods Love Dinosaurs.
I knew it. You love that game. I knew it.
Yeah, man, dude, it's good. Okay, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is Machi Koro.
Nice.
Did you see that coming?
Nice.
You probably didn't see that coming.
I did.
What?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. I
did.
never talk about Machi Koro. Okay, why is
Yeah,
it
but I know you love it.
why is it number 1 for me then? If you
'Cause
know
you
me
like-
so
you like- you-
much.
You like Japan. You like
Okay.
Japan.
Okay,
You like.
it's true.
I think you like engine building games,
I do.
and the artwork's nice
Yes.
in like a quirky, cheeky way.
All 3 of those things, but those are all very true statements. I was going to say all of them. So yes, you do know me, but you don't know me completely because I put it number 1 because it is the game that kind of made Pandasaurus big. Basically, they went to the Tokyo game market, they found that game, they thought it was amazing, and they brought it back and published it. And their biggest success, really, all their success came from that game.
Nice.
If that wasn't around, not to say they wouldn't be around, but it really helped them become amazing. And I bought it when it originally came out here in North America, and I was able to
Nice.
teach that game to other people, and they had a blast playing it. It's a game that I played with my wife. A common theme for me is if I can play with my wife, I know it's good, and I can play that with my wife, and she loves it. Because it has a cute art. It's a simple game to play and understand. It's my number 1. And it will always be my number 1. Probably for nostalgia, but it is number 1. What about you?
Yeah, I chose Gods of Dinosaurs. I just think this game's a ton of fun. You know, it's an abstract strategy game where you're placing tiles and you're sending dinosaurs to eat a bunch of things and lay eggs. So it doesn't make a ton of sense, but basically you're creating this ecosystem and things need to eat. So there's like mice, rabbits, and frogs as like the prey. And then we have predators, so you have eagles and tigers, which eat the prey, and then you have a dinosaur that eats like everything. And basically you're trying to make sure nothing starves so that your ecosystem can grow and have a ton of animals on it and earn a bunch of points by laying eggs. So you earn points based on how many dinosaurs and eggs you have. And it's really what I liked about it is that I was able to play it with my 4-year-old. I know the game is not for 4-year-olds, but they were enjoying it enough to have fun. And you know, we had help help them with their strategy and like, oh, that dinosaur should eat that animal and stuff like that. But they laid all the tiles down. They put all the creatures where they wanted the creatures to be. And it was just a ton of fun. It was a good family day. I think that memory will stick out for me for a long time because, when you have more than one kid, it's hard to connect with one kid on that kind of level. And we did. So it was a really nice game day for the three of us while my other kid was napping. So it's kind of just always have that special spot in my heart, I think. And it's a beautiful game. I think it came around my birthday too, so that gave it some bonus points.
So basically, if you want John to list your game number 1, it just has to have a lot of sentimental value to it. Make sure his kids play it. It's sent to his birthday. And he has a lot of great moments. Like, give him like a cue card that says, do this with your kids, and it's going to be number 1 for sure.
There you go.
Sorry, I had to make fun of you.
That's okay. All right, and then I asked you. Actually, you know what? Our lists were actually more different than I thought they would be.
Oh, really? What do you think was going to be on my list, or what do you think they left?
I don't know. I didn't know if you were gonna put the games on there.
Okay.
But then I don't know what games of Pandasaurus that you've played outside of playing stuff with me.
Right.
Right.
And then your list. Considering we only had 3 minutes to write this, and I didn't even really think about you, I knew right away you're gonna put God's Love Dinosaurs, and you're gonna put that game on there. I thought we would both put Umbravia. I didn't think we would both put Dinosaur Island, and I didn't think both of us would put Brew. So that was actually the surprising things. I thought you.
Well, I didn't put Dinosaur Island, and I put Duelosaur Island, and I just can't read.
I still think that those two are the same game. So no. I didn't think you would. I didn't think we would have the same consensus on that game. And Brew, I didn't think you would put Brew down there, but you did. So that surprised me.
Oh yeah, the game's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's one consensus we both have. The game is fantastic, and it could get better as we play it more too.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it with you when we can.
Yeah, it's been like 5 months, so hopefully, hopefully this will end soon. I don't know. Who knows? At this point, I'm pretty legit on playing games myself. It's cool.
All right, and then one last little fun note. Is there a Pandasaurus game that you haven't played that you really want to try out?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is pretty easy because it's just like, hey, is there a game that is coming out that I'm interested in? And I kind of hinted at it earlier, and that is The Loop. With its time travel mechanic and popular people saying that it has very different mechanics than any other game they played, sells me on it because you know me, John, I'm a board game hipster. I like to find new things, different things, and see how they play. And if they work out, then I know that that's my favorite thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I heard The Loop is good. The time travel mechanic, I don't know exactly what it is, but it sounds cool. And then people are saying it's unique enough that I need to play it. Yes, I will definitely invest in that game when it comes out. I am looking forward to that. How about you?
The game I chose is Nyctophobia Vampire Encounter.
Oh, that's an older game, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a little while where I was like in a kick to play some like horror games, and this one just seemed really cool. So basically, there's a vampire who's kidnapped a friend, and you have to blindly navigate your way through this maze of the board. And when blindly, I mean you're wearing blackout glasses, so you can't see what's going on. And so you're trying to find your friend while the vampire's trying to hunt you down. And I just think that'd be kind of really cool to play. There's also another game called Nyctophobia The Hunted that just has like an axe murderer or a mage instead of a vampire, but the vampire can control the familiar and the player who's leading them out of the forest, just adding some situations. And I just think it sounds cool. I just like a game where you can't see, and I think it's all tactile, kind of, I know board games are all very visual, and this takes that element away, and I think that intrigues me a lot.
I really like your hipster attitude there, because those are two games that aren't really advertised very much by Pandasaurus.
Right.
But if you're looking for a game of escape, I'll blindfold you, and remember our Halloween episode? You'll blindfold me, put me in a graveyard, and I have to chase you out or something. That sounds like fun. Same game, right?
Same game.
Okay. I thought so.
All right. If you like what you hear, don't forget to like and follow us on your favorite streaming platform and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
6 out of 10. Start 6.
Out of 10.
No, not 6 out of 10. 6 out of 5. Whoops.
6 out of 5. Follow us along on our social media stuff. So you can go to Instagram, Friday Night Games _official, Twitter at Friday Night GMS. You can look up on TikTok at Friday Night Games, and of course our website, FridayNight.games. We launched launch a podcast every Friday. So again, I am John.
I'm Matt.
And it's Friday night. Let's have some fun.